as we get into this early Sunday morning or early Saturday morning update. Not quite that early, but later Saturday morning. What we have to talk about here a little bit is not just the fact that XRP has a gap left above, and as you can see, I'm not inside. More and more of these lives will be outside if my son's around and he's but at least I'm inside of a closed confined area where I built my little workout area. So, and then I also have, I'm gonna turn this on. Hopefully it's not too, I use it outside, but it's just like it's a heater, but it's just battery operated. It gets about 25 minutes per battery. It's not too bad though. It's not too loud. So to give some nice warm air in here. I use this in the morning in the winter time. When I'm working out. So, but I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Good morning to everybody. I greatly, whoops, I put it on the fan part, so that's not gonna give me a lot of heat. Need to put it to the heat. There we go. But I thank everybody for tuning in. Very, very busy morning here. A lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of stuff going on in the market. XRP, the good news is, well, let me turn this chair. For the first time in several weeks, we get to talk about an upward CME gap that has been left. So that is a great thing. You know, it's not often we've noticed in the recent history on the weekends where that gap is filled above. We can see it's all the way up near $2.57.5. The price right now is at $2.48. I've been a little concerned this weekend, as we talked about yesterday, around that 244 mark. I know there's a technical, there's going to be some demand down there, but if we fall below 244 and ultimately like that 242, maybe a little lower, then we're going to end up falling into some diagonal support that MQ talks about a lot in the Telegram. It's down at 232 and some change, but that's only going to come into play if we were to break down. And the problem with going down there, and I don't want to go down there, I'll be honest, I don't want to go down there because we held this 241. You know, we had this little pull through, but we came back and we've shown this area. Now, could we come back down here and tap it on supply? I don't want to come all the way back down there like I've said, but there's an anomaly in one of these XRP charts I noticed this morning. Look what this chart did. This chart came down to 238. 238. So this one is the, let's see. On Bitstamp, they did some leverage hunting this morning. So if you're on Bitstamp, look at that liquidity candle that happened on Bitstamp. Isn't that strange? That candle came down and tapped this support. And this is what we actually wanted to see on the rest. I'd be happy to see something like that. Because then it would have come down and tested that drop point. That would have actually been great how fast it springboarded back up. But I'm not exactly sure why that exchange on Bitstamp had such a liquidity hit, unless that's something that's about to happen across the board. But I don't know. It doesn't. It could. It could actually do that across the board, but it's just surprising the one exchange, unless it's given us a little hint here at some liquidity, because some exchanges this morning are, they're offline right now, or they were offline for several hours with the November 1st update. So it's a pretty interesting thing what's happening right now in the market. Shane said he had an order fill at 247.9. Indeed, I know I've seen a lot of people talking about that number as well, as a support structure, which would be nice if that held. We see the 4-hourly though. I mean, in the stochastic, let's see what it's doing. It's breaking bearish a little bit here as it broke through the trend line, which is never a good sign. I can clearly see what could be a head and shoulders here. In the short term, but that would only validate a drop if it came down. That's where it gets a little dicey. I still do like that first 264 back over the top, but ultimately coming up, like Scotty Trade said, 272. It's just, how far do we clear out here? These are the tricky times. The XRP at its escrow dump, and we'll go look at the numbers, but is it a surprise that the price would drop down after that, so that when they relock it back up, they get it for cheaper? I know a lot of people, it doesn't affect the exchanges, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, it all affects it all. All the supply affects it. in a different way, but yeah. Um, Scotty trades, what were you saying? Take a look. Take a peek. Oh, in the Telegram. I'll take a peek in the Telegram. Um, 243.9. That area down there. I definitely like that spot. Um, the inverse. I know we're in an inverse head and shoulders. It's I was talking more like the micro, if you. But um, I do like the target over the top. I know we need to grab that zone. I don't know that the only thing we really don't know here is if we drop down and how far. But you got some retracement levels here too that definitely help. Um, for whatever reason, we always like to hunt the 1618 and the Fibonacci. It is what it is. I don't know why. But we do like to tap that level quite often. We like to come down to that 1618 extension. It's pretty remarkable how many times we actually do it. But Scotty, I seen you talking earlier about how the Fibonacci sequence is used not just in charting but everyday life. Look at the 3i Atlas. Now they're claiming that it's doing the Fibonacci sequence. That's the universal. So basically, that's the universal. You can use that in distress. It's like the universal, not necessarily distress, but it's like the Fibonacci sequence is supposedly the universal frequency. So no matter where you're at and no matter where you're at anywhere, supposedly if you were to send out that sequence of numbers like we seen with 3i Atlas, supposedly, which that whole thing's something different, but I'm not going to get into that. But that sequence, it's true. The Fibonacci sequence it's everywhere. I absolutely agree with that. Yep, Shane, it happens every single time. They knock out 1 billion, and then on average about 800 billion gets locked back up. I mean, they knock out 1 billion, and on average 800 million gets locked up, and they get held now until December of 2028 when they can do whatever they want with them. So I always ask myself, what exactly goes on in December of 28? Ironically, that's the same time as all the regulations are legitimately supposed to start taking place in crypto, where Big Brother's going to start taking over. And you don't want regulations in crypto. See, everybody, this is the problem. The new age crypto trader is begging for regulations, not even realizing that crypto it's meant to not be regulated by our governments. Even though, ironically, again, nobody really realizes, but the US government actually created Bitcoin. So, everybody's in for a nice hard lesson down the road. But for now, we're going to certainly appreciate this. Can I get an update on Linnea, please? Sure you can. 3i Atlas is an alien invasion. Only if you're speaking from the Project Bluebeam. But yeah, I mean, we can go deeper into that, but I can't because I'll get banned. But it is and it isn't. This has been propagated for so long, it's not even... You know what I'm talking about, Josh. And thanks for being in town over 3+ months with the XRP Meteor, along with Mr. Scotty Trades and Solar Jeffy. Thanks for being in town over your second month with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. And Scotty Trades, thanks for being a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram. I greatly, greatly appreciate that. Man, it would be nice if it bounced off the 618, though. If it bounces off the 618, that would be a nice springboard here, all the way up to 272 area, if it were to play out properly. There's so much potential here. It's just I always pay attention to the 1618, and that just happens to be around the 244 area. That would be overzealous, but right now, if we pull up from here, the bulls are going to show a nice sign of strength. I always am a fan on the inverse patterns when that right shoulder pulls down, and I know it goes against the grain. But I like to see the bulls take control with a further pull down. Just like when you look at a bullish Gartley with the W reversal and that right side pulls just slightly down farther than the left side of the W. That's the bulls basically showing they're in control. The bears brought it down so much, and it's just the bears and bulls are just an algorithm. They're just an algorithm. The bulls and bears don't even exist. There's not a bull and there's not a bear. It's just a trading algorithm. So you want to see what's won. So if you get the bearish algorithm, you can tell by the way the W is normally set up, or by the way the setup actually builds in this support structure. Just like when I look at the trading algorithm here, the bearish part brought the left shoulder down, brought it to a head perfectly. The algorithm said we need to create the inverse right shoulder. Now, with the way it pulled it down, if it pulls back up, it's definitely showing us a huge bullish springboard. And it came right to the 618, which is perfectly in the Fibonacci. And I love that I don't have to chart any of this out because Scotty Trades does it, so I can just pull it up. I'm more inclined to show the Fibonacci if I don't got to do it myself, because it fucks with my head when I use it. I come to the same conclusions as the Fibonacci, but I don't like to necessarily use it. I like when the audience does, though, because then I get to see it easier, especially when it's professionals. I remember you put this out before. I was reading this too before I came out here. This is nice too because it shows exactly how we could get down there. Isn't it crazy though if it does a 200% retracement? That's really pushing it. You're right though. If we come down there for 244. That's gonna be pushing a little bit, but a 5-wave corrective going up to the blast off would be interesting. I remember I was talking about that diagonal support Scotty Trades. I don't know if you were in here when I first started talking this morning, the very first minutes, but I talked about your diagonal support down there at 232 and some change. That's the 6. Wow. So I mean, it's definitely possible. I don't think that we're in a bad setup right now. We're in November. Remember how I always say once November comes around, you start to see direction. And then by mid-November, usually you start to actually show that parabolicness. Linea today is having a great start to November. Up 14.25%. It definitely is overdue. We've been talking about this. It's been in this channel, in my opinion. And now it's actually breaking out of it. Now what we're looking for is we looked for this back test at about 1399, and so far it's holding it. But if we break through this layer, this is where we're going to see this nice spike up. I mean, we're so far overdue for a big run up, it's disturbing. I'm going to really do it before November 10th when the 2.0, or how many tokens get released this time? Is it 2.08 billion this time? Is that what it is on this release for Linea? So I mean, Linea's finally showing some testicular fortitude here, which it's going to. I have no doubt it's going to come up here to that 21819, and ultimately, I don't know, I don't necessarily think it's going to break out on that exact moment because we have that escrow dump on the 10th, but I think this is where we can start getting a little bit of a hot start. But this is how I see it. You know, this is how I see it. This is supposed to be up a little higher. Sorry, sometimes I'm looking at it on my phone, so it changes it a little bit. Because it's harder to obviously see on the phone. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate the way this is going. Now, you really don't want to see it come back down to 1149. If it came back down there, and we keep failing this, you know, eventually you want to get out of here. And we've had 1, 2, this is the 3rd solid attempt to try to get out of here. We had a couple tries below, 3 solid attempts to try to break down, but it held. More like this. 3 solid support hits. The 3rd hit on resistance. It actually pushed through here now, which is a great sign. Really good sign. We'll see if it continues. But this is something that I wanted to see with Linea. I'm just, I don't know. As long as it takes is as long as it takes. It's just one of those things. Anna, welcome in. I'm glad to see you in here this morning. What an honor. How awesome is that? Anna, thank you so much. Dan Marginal, thanks for being in Tom's Army for your 30+ months with the XP Meteor. Yes, Linea up about 15% today. Mark Caston, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first for over 1 year now with the I Told You So badge. Solo Jeffrey Linnea looks to be forming the right shoulder on an inverse head and shoulders on the monthly. It sure does. Oh, it's a big one. Well, I don't know about the monthly. It's harder to see that data, but I mean, you're probably right about that because if you look, although if you look at it in the monthly, it's going to be kind of, it's going to kind of look weird because of just the way that these are set up. I think if you start looking at it in the smaller time frames, you can actually see what you're talking about. And I think it's kind of jank what's setting up here. I really do because of the way the price action is. What if it's something like this? And I know it's fucking weird. What if it does this, and then it's take this out right now. You know, we already came down to the low wick, which means now we're going to have to swing around and we're going to have to capitalize on this top wick here because we're going to have to exhaust that at some point. We're going to see what happens on that escrow dump, or that dump out of, well, I guess it is their escrow in a sense. But on November 10th, last time Linnea had a dump on October 10th, the entire market dropped 65%. Lucky coincidence for Linnea being in disguise or strategically set up throughout the market. You know? So, what ends up happening here when we have the next drop? Robert Latham, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Michael, thanks for being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. I greatly appreciate that. Define, welcome in, my friend, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor, along with the Cannabis Podcasts, Crypto Cruder, Incredible Volk, and Joseph Euler. Thank all of you. I thank all of you very deeply. Crypto Cruder and Define, thanks for being a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram. And Define also put, hello everyone, hit that like on the way in. Consider subscribing and joining Tom's Army for the best technical analysis on YouTube. Did you join our exclusive Telegram yet? What are you waiting for? Oh my god, the Telegram is straight fire. It is fire. Ooh, here's a little bit of momentum building, Scotty. Ideally, if it could hold that 247 area, it would be perfect. I would love that. Because we came back, like you even showed it in your fib, we came back and tested the very critical line. Hey, Joseph Euler, thank you so much for not only being in Tom's Army 6+ months with the XP Predictor, but also gifting a sub. And Cruiser Guy, congratulations on that gifted sub. And also Mark Core, both of you, thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Along with Scott Lowry, I greatly appreciate that. Edgar, good morning. It appears yesterday your phone was hacked. Interesting. Yes, work on the likes. Yes. CJ2 Pilot, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon Badge. One thing about New York, at least for now in Long Island, you can conceal carry. Nice. It's always good for that. Yeah, 247 was a perfect bounce right there. Hopefully this is the start of our little structural reversal. Because you can see we're oversold even in the hourly and the stochastic. We are oversold, my friends. And I am very happy to see that personally. Actually, very happy to see that, to be honest. I like those numbers. Let's see it in the mic. Let's see it in the very tiny time frame. 249.89. I mean, we cleared out a lot of steam here. I think this is a good sign. Obviously, you know, don't gamble more than you can afford to, because that's from a leverage standpoint. But I would encourage my audience, please, pay attention to some of the things you see here. And not like, oh my god, I got to run here and every single one of these are going to pan out and yada, yada, yada. But take advantage of the technicals that some people in here, that they exhibit. It's remarkable. It's remarkable what some people in this community understand. So, Don't take it for granted. A lot of times to learn this kind of information, you're talking about being charged an arm and a leg. You really are. So I really do appreciate, I value every single person who comes in here and tries to help, the community when it comes to technicals. It really means a lot to me personally. Um, but we'll see. It's got a nice inverse right shoulder set here. It's perfect. Scotty Trades did a great job setting that up in here. I don't really want to overshadow. I have to show it on mine when it does it, but he's got a perfect inverse head and shoulders set up. I really like how he sets this up, makes it nicely identifiable, shows it at the 618 back test, which seems to be exactly what would be needed for the springboard. We know we've got the CME over the top, just above $2.57. I also like how he did it. Whoops. I also like how he did it right here. That's where it shows the 618. I like it in here. I think you put it in both, though. But there was another chart that... Oh, right here. I liked how you set this one up, and that was before we made that whole move back down. Because you can see, because clearly if it were to come back here, you also have the possibility of that further breakdown. Not necessary, but it's definitely there in the back of our head. So good morning. 11:13 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Saturday, November 1st, 2025. I know November already. Unbelievable. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So right now, we continue to watch this back and forth battle between the spot pricing of XRP, the closure in the XRP futures, which it's interesting that it'll show it like this. Because it shows it down here at like 254-ish, but I swear it closed at 257. But Bitcoin right now is a lot closer to its closing target from Friday at 110,320. So there's a lot more set up here. So even this down at the bottom here is at 109,870, but the actual closure was at 110,320. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see this because there is some upward volatility that needs to be done with XRP. And now that this escrow, let's take a look at what happened with the billion token release. I don't know if there's any real information on it yet. It always takes forever. I could go to XRP scan, but let's see. I love how every single month people have to try to make content off of the 1 billion release. It's not that in-depth, people. It's the same shit every single month. People always act like it's something different. It's not. It's the same stuff every month.
Ripple's monthly XRP escrow release, the 1 billion on-chain information for the November 1st escrow release. Yes, since the 1 billion XRP token release is a pre-scheduled on-chain event, the transactions for the November 1st unlock would be visible on public ledger explorers like XRP Scan or other similar tools. While I cannot directly access the live XRP Scan page, the search results confirm this routine has executed today.
And then typically, like it says, the crucial step where the majority of the unlocked funds are sent back into new long-term escrow contracts, typically a 3 to 5 transaction sequence, and then 7 to 800 million get locked back up. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. But no real information. If anybody has any of that data, I would love to see it. How long were we on so far? 25 minutes. My first battery went out. See, perfect timing. I have 2 of them. They're just these, because I didn't want to use propane, so I just have the battery. And then they're only 21 volt, but they do about 25 minutes a piece, and it's just a portable space heater thing. It's portable, well, it's an electric runoff battery though. Let's see. See, where there's a way, there's a will. Or where there's a will, there's a way, I should say. But I suppose where there's a way, there's got to be a will too to make the way. But I think we're truly in a beautiful spot here. I'm not even talking about just from a charting perspective. I'm talking about from a community perspective. We have such a, the vision I had when I was creating that telegram is finally actually coming to light now with the people we have in here. And it took me 4 years. And I had to close it down for several years until I got the right people I would let in one by one. And then it just started to snowball. See, it's something. I am a battery. It's true. It is true. What's the target on XRP if it moves up? There's several. First, we're going to have to get over that 257 gap area. But the immediate target's going to be, now that we fell below in the 2 hourly, we got to get past 250.6, which is, that shouldn't be too hard if we rotate back up. But let's just say we start moving up. Big target's going to be to come all the way back up here and not only retake the 20-day up here in the 4 hourly, but ultimately take the 257 in the gap and the CME, but get back over the 4 hour 200-day resistance, which is going to show you another showdown here with the pattern that we dropped out of. But our technical target up, if you just take from a pattern consolidation standpoint, could technically bring you all the way up to the top of this pattern. But it's an interesting thing. But I think we're more bullish than bearish right now. Even if a drop did occur, I think we're more bullish than bearish. Even the timing of the year is starting to lining up better. I always feel a little happier when we get into November. Not that every November is bullish, but November by virtue is typically one of our better months. Now, it's ironic because like the last 6 Octobers until this year were actually bullish. You know, they were actually green. But that usually was only because we had such a, like last year, the only reason we were bullish in October is because July, August, and September were shit. I mean, last July, I believe it was, we went down to 38 cents. We had no choice but to be a little bullish in October. Wasn't that bullish, but then we had the pull down at the end of October, early November, and then we just shot out of the cannon. I think it's 2 weeks from Halloween is when we had that double up. We double up 2 weeks after Halloween, and then it was, the rest is history. And then we 1.5x it right now from that first double up at 50 cents to the price we're at right now. So think about that. Just 1 year ago today, we were sitting sub 50 cents. Or right around there. So, I mean, it's been a remarkable climb over the last year. I really like it. Yeah, 262. No, you're not wrong, Frankie Fresh. Once we capture the CME around 257, that's going to be the next area I look at, is that 262. It's right at the 200-day in the 4 hourly. With the exponential moving averages, when you do the 20, 50, 100, 200. You can do 50, 100, 200. You'll still see the same setup. You just won't see the red 20-day. Let's see. What else did I miss? Did I miss anything in here? I love the gifted sub. Thank you so much for that. I know I said thank you, but once again, Joe Fuller, thank you for that. Frankie Fresh, I hope you're having a blessed morning, and thanks for being in town over 6+ months with the XP Predictor. I hope you and Janine are doing freaking phenomenal this morning. I really do. G-Rock, good morning. And I hope your hand's moving just the smallest amount further now with flexibility. G-Rock, thank you for the $4.99 donation. Says, keep it up. Excellent. Yeah, I know. True. So, the stuff I just shared, I probably should have kept that silent. You're right about that, Scotty Trades. You're right about that. Next time, I'll just hint that you can see it in the Telegram. If you want to see further charts like that and in real time, I definitely think, can XRP get down to sub $2 before November 12th, Tom? Uh, if we come down below $2 before November 12th, it's not going to be pretty. That would mean we all out failed this setup. And everything we were expecting to the upside in the immediate short term would catapult us down. And that, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that, Edgar. It's not impossible. No, of course it's not impossible. It's actually possible. But in the setup we're seeing, it would be quite a kick in the nuts, if you know what I mean. You really don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. November 12th is my brother's birthday, FYI. Old Vincenzo. He's going to be 40 in just 12 days from now. He's hanging on to his 30s by the hair on his nuts. Yep, I lost that battle a few years ago. As I'll be 42 December 17th. I'm still fighting with my early 40s. Let's see. We just don't want to make up our mind yet, though. We're just not making up our mind for XRP. That's the problem here is looking at this chart. You'd be like, oh, that's a remarkable bullish pull-up. Problem is, it's the only damn chart that did it like that. The rest of them at least pulled down a little bit now, but they didn't even look like that before. So maybe these are nice pull-ups here, but the 4-hourly definitely we can watch a little bit here and have a little bit of cause for concern. It's so weird. That chart is throwing me off so much because when you look at the one chart, it's so out of whack with the rest of them. Look at this. Like, it makes it look like something more is happening, which is actually a good thing. Like, these ones only came to 247.7, but you look at this one. Like, look at this. Like, that looks like it came down and... Man, they really hunted some liquidity there. I'm not sure what was going on there. I really don't know what's going on there. That chart had some overextended liquidity. Especially with what the rest of them are showing us. That throws me in like a loop. Like, are the rest going to do that? Or is this just like an anomaly on that particular chart? Because I can still see the possibility of a short-term head and shoulders. Left shoulder to a right shoulder. Pull down maybe to the... This one would make it seem... The one that pulled down like it did makes it seem like it almost makes it seem like it held that little bit of a support structure. It's so weird. Why are all those wicks to the upside? What do you mean? You mean the top of each of these candlestick? I mean, it just shows pressure to the top, and then it came back consolidated. You really want to base your opinion on where the body of the candle's at. So those wicks aren't the important part of the candle. Yeah, they can come back down. So, but yeah, I mean, you base your information on the body of the candle. The wicks give you insight into the fact that, I mean, you can always come back down there and fill them back out. It's just this chart is weird. Somebody was talking about XDC. XDC came down. Yeah, but XDC it's building out its pattern. It needed to come down. It's not even that it came down farther. I mean, it did come down almost and filled out a lot of this wick. So I see what you're saying. It's just built differently. This pattern is built different. The way that this forms. So you can't really compare XDC with the rest. They're all slightly different. But, I mean, Sola Jeffy, it very well could be an indicator. You know, it very well could be. I'm just a little surprised, though, that... I mean, I'm glad Mania made that move, but I'm surprised it's really the only one. I mean, I know Epic had a small move. Axelar's up 6%. Epic's up 5 3/4. Or Axelar's up just over 6 1/4. So, I mean, we're seeing some fundamental movement around the market. IOTA's up very fractional, about 1%. Algo's only up 0.43%. XLM down, XDC down, VChain up 3.5%, HBAR down. So if it's me, if I'm watching this and I'm like, I want to get into an entry, I'm still looking at that 244, I think. I think that 244 is where I'm still looking. I want to see how it reacts there. If it comes down, especially knowing that it's the 1618 retracement, that makes it interesting to me. I don't know if we're going to come all the way down there. I really don't. I don't know what we're going to do. If you're trading leverage, be very careful this morning. I encourage you to further, integrate yourself into a spot positioning. Try to figure that side of the game out. It's a lot funner. It's a lot less risk, and you'll be able to actually see these patterns out. Sometimes the worst thing about leverage is you can't see the pattern out. Your mind's just so messed up. My yard now, welcome back into Tom's Arm for 3+ months with the XRP Meteors. I greatly appreciate that, my friend. I really, really appreciate that. I turn the comments on like that. It's just easier for me. So that's just something we'll have to deal with if I'm outside, because it's just too hard to keep up on the phone because it always does its own thing. Oh, I forgot to take my vitamins. My vitamins, damn it. I think the best way to figure out the TA should be based on last week HBAR ETF. It was the first ISO coin compliant. So we know the XRP ETF is coming on 13th to 14th, November Canary and Bitwise. Yeah, and the other thing with XRP too to remember is the whole thing with Evernorth. It's now listed as XRPN, and you gain exposure to XRP, and they're building the first ever, it's Ripple's treasury. Everybody says, I've seen a lot of comments on social media, and they're saying that it's not a treasury. The hell it isn't. They're building their own Ripple treasury, and it started with $1 billion in assets. Evernorth committed $1 billion in assets, or $1 billion into the reserves to build the Ripple treasury, and in that treasury they're going to start building it with XRP. Don't you know how big pumps happen? This is exactly how they start. This is how we're going to get to our next layer with all of this. If you don't think we're bullish right now, oh man, I think a lot of people are going to get bashed over the head harder than they've ever seen or ever thought. Yep, and that's why these little pushes right now, the fact that XRP's down a little bit right now, I'm not surprised compared. I'm not surprised. This is all fantastic. Now, Scotty Trades, if you're still in here, for the lingering eye of a leverage trader, what would you tell them? A, is an entry point that they should have, or B, is if we fall below, they should get nervous. I always like to say this. Because I'm looking at, it's either that 247, either that was the springboard, or there's a loading in 244 to 244. And I know, and if you want to know more, I guess you could go in the Telegram and learn more from Scotty Trades himself, which he's the MQ in the Telegram. But I still like the fact that we have this gap left here. That's the one thing I really, really do like. 244 entry, 237 cut and run, in my opinion. Absolutely, I love that. I love that. Because if we come below 244, if we cut that 237, you know as well as I do, we're going to that 232 area, and that's going to be interesting. Zcash, I don't have a lot of info on Zcash. Everybody wants me to cover it when it's pumping. I don't typically just look at a coin because it's pumping, because then especially when it's going way too, in a parabolic sense, because then everybody just buys it and they end up becoming the exit liquidity. This either could have fell out or broke out, and it broke to the top side, so the top side pull is somewhere around 470. Oh no, it broke out from, it came up almost exactly where it needed to. It broke out perfectly. This is a little off because it was supposed to be like this. But that broke out perfectly. Now, it's at some point, this is run so much, and you don't go parabolic forever. You've heard me say it once, you've heard me say it 100 times. Is it possible that Zcash is outrunning the market right now? Like a predetermined outrun? Like, it's massively overbought now in the weekly. It made that run up from oversold, like most of the market now, like XRP and such are oversold, like this was down here before this big breakout. So, and it was a long consolidation. So I don't know. This is now massively overbought in the weekly. It's going to get a lot of attention from a lot of people now, and now it's probably, yeah. I mean, it's ran huge, and someone's going to get left holding this here at some point. And I'm not saying from a long-term perspective you're going to be bad, but at some point these have to slow down a bit. And we haven't hit that point yet here. It still looks not horrible in the daily. At some point it's going to you're going to catch a falling, well, you're going to catch a rising death. But if you bought it below, oh, you're feeling fucking great. Oh, excuse my French, I swore. My bad. I think that's the first F word I let drop this entire live. And I've been working on it too. 41 minutes, darn it. Hold on, I'm taking my vitamins. One sec. Where is that water? Thank you. Thank you for your patience. I will be interested to see what the info is on the escrow drop. I will be interested. One more time I'll say this. How great is it to have a gap over the top for once instead of below? That's exactly what I was thinking, Brighton. That's why I asked that question. Could that be showing us to move out of these weekly oversold conditions? Because remember how Zcash is all the way now back up in the oversold proponent. Mr. Stott, you're welcome, my friend, and thanks for being in time zone for 3+ months with the XP Meteor. Joe Wolf, oh, I want to read that. Said he was tracking. Oh, I got to read that. I need another comment to come up. But look at the weekly, how we're oversold. Says, I'm also tracking the OCC application in the Fed Master account. Yesterday, there was a denial for Custody Bank Inc. relic as per... Ooh. That's good information. Definitely keep up to date with that. XRP in the weekly, that's a reversal candle here. This looks like a reversal candle, and we've still got... See, we're going to have to get hot here in the moment. Absolutely, Crypto Cooter. That's why that 244 and such was on the table for me. 247, which we hit, then 244. But I don't know if we're going to go down to 244. They're going to have to prove it to me. Right now, I like the setup. I like that inverse head and shoulders setup. So, you know, basically, in my opinion right now, and if you're leveraging, obviously don't use a lot, but like I have the 2% rule. You use 2% of your portfolio. So if you got 100,000, you want to use $2,000. But remember, every time you do that, it's gonna eat into your portfolio if you lose. If you've got 10,000, you use 200. I think that's a good rule of thumb. Hi. How's it going? Yeah, I know. They just came outside too. I love my little heating fan. But yeah, I mean that's basically what I'm seeing this morning. Everything we've discussed here, everything that we see in the micro, even if it's red, it's just at the micro. Remember that. It's just that. In the macro, it's so freaking unbelievable what is developing right in front of us. Remember, back in 21, everybody was telling us that we were... Is that you, Julie? That everybody was saying we were crazy back in 2021 when we talked about all these different variables, and now we've got these variables. You know, these variables are happening. Guys, I'm giving you updates on ETF and bank applications. I like your channel, but we need to focus. These are the things that will move it. Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate the updates. That's why we're here. That is why we're here. But it all plays into each other. The charts, the new, all of it. All of it. In fact, the charts often dictate when the news comes out. But it's definitely, it all plays into it. Let's see, in 2025, I don't care about that. XRP. This is what I'm interested. Ripple's chief, or the CTO set to reveal Treasury insight at key event. Digital asset treasuries DATs have exploded this year, revealing a growing trend of public firms raising funds to buy and add digital assets to their treasuries. XRP has not been left out of the party. In June, Singapore-based Trident Digital announced plans to raise $500 million to build an XRP treasury. Earlier, Weebus International had revealed plans to raise $300 million through non-equity funds to support its global shaver payment network with an XRP reserve. Saudi Arabia-based Vivo Power International also revealed plans to build a $121 million XRP treasury. Is this starting to sound familiar? Remember the Bitcoin reserves? Now you got all these different places talking about the XRP treasuries and things like that. Joe Wolf says, in case you missed my previous comment, Bitwise XRP ETF live on the 20th of November. I seen it, but I may have forgot to mention it that you said that because I was commenting on all your other what you were commenting. But yeah, that's very important information on the 20th. Keep dropping that knowledge in the comments for everybody. I greatly appreciate that. And remember, Evernorth is part of XRP on the NASDAQ listed, which I showed everybody. I bought 1,000 shares of it on the the stock market on what was it, $10.20 something cents. Gives you exposure to XRP through the stock market. Anyhow, let's see. They update their S1 filing yesterday. I definitely got some reading to do. I'm glad you're commenting. I get a lot of my stuff too that I missed because we have a strong community here. So there's so much information that comes in. I always tell everybody it's not me why you should be here. It's everybody else. I might bring you to the party, but everybody else should keep you. XRP has not been left out. Plans to raise $500 million. Earlier, Rebus International revealed plans to raise $300 million. We talked about Saudi. Fast forward to October, Evernorth announced it had entered a business combination agreement with Armada Acquisition Corp. 2. This is the XRPN. It actually changed its ticker symbol. A transaction expected to raise $1 billion in gross proceeds, creating the largest public XRP treasury company. On October 30th, Evernorth announced that the combined company created with the agreement has begun trading on NASDAQ under the ticker symbol XRPN. We've talked at length about that in the last couple days. In a recent tweet, Ripple revealed that CTO David Schwartz, who is also strategic advisor to Evernorth. Can we get some likes? 78 likes, 114 people watching. I would love to see 100 likes before I leave here in 10 to 12 minutes. 74% is great or whatever we're at, but that's barely a C. We're better than a C in this community. Evernorth announced the combined company created with the agreement has blah 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 begun. In recent tweet, Ripple revealed that CTO David Schwartz, who is also a strategic advisor to Evernorth, will be joining Evernorth CEO Ashish Barlow and Armada Acquisition Corp. 2. Now, is it any surprise that David Schwartz is stepping away from Ripple, but now he's a strategic advisor to Evernorth? I think this is going in the direction it was supposed to all along, and David Schwartz is at the front of it. The same guy who likely created the code for Bitcoin, the same guy who created the code for XR, the same guy who runs with the same guy who's a CIA operative, the same guy who's a something degree Mason, the same guy who runs with the same guy. I can't continue the conversation, but I think if you can read between what I'm saying, you understand what's going on here. David Schwartz may very well be Satoshi Nakamoto. A lot of people say I look like him when I pull my hair down because I literally have crazy hair like him, except I'm not bald up here. But please connect the dots, everybody. Joe Wolf says clarity 20% rule, no entity greater than 20% XRP, commodity status Ripple 40%, 5 billion plus 35. Oh my god, see, you know your shit. Hey, where's my phone? I'm gonna put my email, my friend. Put me an email. I'm gonna send you a message. If you send me an email, I'll send you a message. I don't do this very often, but your knowledge is something that our community is in need of. That's the kind of stuff to help push you understand. So certain minds I like to get connected within our own group. So hey, if you send me an email, Joe, at strutrugali@gmail.com, I put it in the Telegram. You are definitely, I'm gonna send you a link, and if you want to partake in our Telegram, you are more than welcome. And I know you're not in Tom's Army or anything like that, but sometimes I extend the welcome when I see stuff that is needed. This is stuff that I think you could be a vital part to what we do in there. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised when you see what we built in there. You don't need to be a TA guy. No, that's not why I'm asking. I don't need your TA. I need your information. You have great information. And your spelling is phenomenal as well. That's so the way he puts things out. See, we have enough people that understand TA. We don't have enough people that can read between the lines of the deeper information. Oh, Define, thank you for your blessing. Define's a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram. But yeah, I always look between, and I try to distinguish maybe the unsung heroes of each given live. That's why I think the lives are so important. Like this was the whole reason for Saturday's live, believe it or not. We found another player for information, and that the stronger we get, the more we illuminate each other. Oh, we can't be stopped. We can't be stopped. Legitimately, it's just. And just remember, Joe, I'm not gonna send you a message on Telegram. There's people that are gonna try to scam us, and that's why we try to hide behind the members of Tom's Army and things like that. So, if I could gift him a membership, I would, but it's all random, unfortunately. It's all random. So I wish it wasn't. I wish I could gift it to whoever I wanted. Aurelie would definitely have a gifted membership. There's no freaking doubt about that. There's a few others as well. But I'm inspired this morning. I've been inspired. Not just by Joe, but all of you. Like, this community's strong. And you can't build a palace without a group of workers. Like, yeah, you can build a kingdom of your own, but if you want to create a palace where everybody's welcome and everybody's able to, succeed, we've got to do stuff like this, and this is the hard part. Trying to recognizes real. That's the truest statement I can give. Real recognizes real. And we'll finish this talk. I just want to do something real quick. And this is because of the sincere generosity of this community is why I'm doing this, and why I'll continue to do this when I see the proper. And generosity doesn't come from funds, everybody. I tell you all the time. I don't care. I love the pay it forward mentality. It helps me fund my community because I don't charge for anything, and I like the pay it forward mentality. But information is what leads us to the next frontier. So thank you all. I'm glad that I'm able to do this morning and give 5 subs to the community. Let me respond to that email real quick. Just so I can get him in here, because he needs to come in here, check it out, and be a part of our brotherhood and sisterhood, so to say. All I know is I like your TA, my man. 3 to 4 years later, still tops, and the growth is sweet as well. Oh, Solo Jeffy, thank you so much. And thanks for being in Tom's Army for your second month with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News as well. Unbelievable support. Hey, Joe Wolf, I just seen Jocelyn. Let's share info. I can connect. Yes, here we go. So I'm gonna send you the link, Joe. Sorry, I didn't mean to say your actual name on there. But Joe, thank you so much. I just sent you that, my friend. Thank you so much. And not just thank you so much for all the information this morning. You've made my day. So I gifted 5 subs. Q, and it's completely random. So Jade Lay, and that's my account, Dogecoin, and you. I also have my son's account, but it won't let me gift from my main account for some reason, which is stupid. So I have to do it from my separate account, which is it was also a partnered station, but just took up too much time, and I had a better, that was something I did for the people that like Doge and Shiba and stuff, if you remember. But Q, Jade, Star, Lockham, congratulations on the emoji badges of me being abducted by aliens. And also, Jesus is King, the Word became flesh. Congratulations on the gifted sub. And thanks, don't forget to give thanks to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ on this most holy of days on Saturday. Show the brotherhood, the unity, the divinity, integrity, and give thanks to a higher power. We don't judge. Positivity over negativity, and we like to give a helpful hand rather than a hurtful one. And let's finish reading this, and then I'll let you guys go. I'm going to go hang out with my son who's outside. We've done about an hour, and I'm so blessed to have Joe now. And Joe, yeah, just check your email, and I look forward to knowing more about you. Ken Saunders, All Saints Day. Amen. And welcome in, Mr. Ken, or Mr. Saunders. I've seen you in here a lot before, so I'm glad to see you back in here. So in a recent tweet, he said, he's David Schwartz, who is also a strategic advisor to Evernorth, will be joining Evernorth CEO Ashish Burla and Armada Acquisition Corp. 2, which is now under ticker symbol XRPN as of the 30th of October. Arrington Capital Fund CEO on the NASDAQ. Michael Arrington to discuss what to expect from Evernorth, XRP, and the rise of DATS at the SWAL event scheduled for November 4th and 5th. Possible catalysts there. Digital asset treasury DATs have exploded this year. Evernorth CEO. Hey, Joe joined. Look at that. Joe, just make sure when you're in there to accept the prompt. It just makes sure that you understand all the stuff and some stuff to pay attention to. And it'll allow you to be able to comment everywhere as well. There's several subsections. I encourage you to look for Nick's subsection and for MQ's subsection. He's Scotty Trades in here. Mine, if you have the pager, I just comment things so that it doesn't get separated by the group. But I also talk in the groups too. But it's been unbelievable watching it grow here. It's just been unbelievable. In September, David Schwartz revealed, I already talked about that, I would be stepping down. And now he's joining forces with Evernorth, which this is an incredible development. Solana. And then Joe talked about the Bitwise SEC filing. So the long-awaited XRP exchange-traded fund from Bitwise could soon become a reality. Bitwise, the $15 billion asset manager, has just submitted amendment number 4. And this is what Joe was talking about, remember. That's why I wanted to talk about this before I left. Joe, I was paying attention to what you said, so I really wanted to talk about this and read this so everybody knew what you were talking about. Great information by Joe this morning, like a beautiful soul. Number 4 to its XRP ETF, which is exchange traded fund filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC), revealing 2 crucial details. Experts believe such updates usually signal the final step before approval. If cleared by the SEC, the XRP ETF could go live within just 20 days. Remember, Joe just said this too. Pay attention. He said yesterday, or Joe said there was an amendment. Sorry, I see 1970 Legend. Thanks for being a very trusted mod in here, 1970 Legend. He is who I was speaking of when I was just, because I was reading this comment. But thank you, 1970 Legend, for being a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram. And Tom's Army for over 1 year. Actually, in here, a very trusted mod. And the defending national championship down on Buckeye Land as they take on the hatless, the heartless, the soulless, the integrityless, and the willless Penn State Nittany Lions today. Aurelia, welcome in, and I'm glad to see you in here right at the end. No doubt, but you're still in here. Expert believes such updates usually signal the final step before approval. If cleared by the SEC, the XRP ETF could go live within just 20 days. On October 31st, Bitwild filed an amendment number 4 with the SEC, and we're already up to date on this because of Joe, to update its S1 form. The latest updated document includes 2 crucial details. First, the listing venue will be the New York Stock Exchange, NYSE, and the second, the management fee will be 0.34%. Not bad. That's pretty cheap, 0.34%. That's cheaper than most of my emerging markets that I do myself directed. You still have to pay a management fee. Eric Balahunas, senior ETF analyst at Bloomberg, believes Bitwise's latest filing marks a major step forward for XRP's entry into traditional finance, adding the New York Stock Exchange and fee means Bitwise has checked nearly all boxes. This is huge. Eric says, Bitwise just updated their ETF. We already seen this. Historically, once issuers include exchange and fee details in their S1 forms, it usually means they're just waiting for the final green light from the SEC. And think about it. H-bar was the first domino to fall. First domino to fall. So I got to go. Thank you for all the information. Joe, I look forward to getting to know you more in the Telegram. Look at this as a moment of opportunity, not a moment of defeat. And once this all comes online in the near future, you may never see these prices again. Like we said, sub dollar, sub 50, sub 40. We probably will never see those again after we were down there. We may never see these prices again once we start breaking out. So, hi Tom, sorry if you didn't. Chart shows short term at 13 cents. What chart are we talking about? John Bugathorpe. Sorry, I didn't catch the earlier comment, if there was one. Let me get my phone out so I can read this, because I gotta go. John says, hi Tom, sorry if you answered. Chart shows short-term resistance around 0.13, but we talk about parabolic rise in Q41. Is that your best guess? Oh, XDC. Yeah, that doesn't mean it's going to happen that quickly. But yeah, in the short term, we could get parabolic rises, but I wouldn't be looking at that 13.7 anytime, in the short term. I would just be looking for the build up. We're looking to start building back up. What I would be looking at more in the short term, into the end of the year, Q1, is to try to make this push up now, back up to this 7.7 area. We can't do anything until we break out of this structure one way or the other. Even we cut it down to 2.9, which I don't want to do, or we push out. My best guess is, in time we're going to come up here, but to say it's going to be in Q1 of next year, I still think that's a tricky guess. Ironically, 1970 legend. I actually follow Eleanor Tourette. That is so funny. One of the few people, but I'm never on there. That's the only problem on X. But I actually do follow Eleanor Tourette. See, small group we have here. How awesome is that? But yeah, my best guess though is we're gonna get up there pretty easily. I don't know exactly the time frame, but ultimately I believe XDC, we're gonna see it over $1. I really do believe that. I call her Eleanor Tourette. But no, I have no doubt. I really do believe we're building something at such a cheap level right now with XDC. I think right now I'm just about 127,000 tokens, which I would not be mad about increasing it even more. But thank you for the super chat, John Bugathorpe, and also 1970 Legend. I thank you both for the super chats this morning. $5 from John and $4.99 from 1970 Legend. Thank you all so much. But we still got a lot of time to build, a long ways to go. So remember, XDC, in my opinion, is like holding XRP in yesteryear when it was at the early formation. Look at that early inverse head and shoulders we're set up on. It's massive. So it's going to happen eventually. Be blessed, be patient, understand the charting. I encourage you to be in the Telegram. Join Tom's Army, get the link in the members only section. And then if you're trading, go to TOOBIT. Bottom line, we're in a copy trade with Linea. Linea's up about 12.5% today. But that's just a 1x trade. It's going to be open for a long time. But they have the lowest spot and leverage trading fees. It's a very nice platform to use. I'm a fan of other platforms. In fact, I probably should keep the Blowfin link on my screen. It's just some people in the USA get a little nervous by it because it's not completely... They're available, but some people get nervous because of some of the wording. But in my opinion, TOOBIT, it's cheap, lowest spot leverage trading fees. When we were down in the high times of volatility, it was there. BitUnix, I still keep $2,000 to $3,000 on at any given time to trade with. I still love the platform. It's just they're going away from the USA. As to where TOOBIT now is reincorporating deeper into the USA. Now New York's even allowed to trade with TOOBIT. So, you know, according to a few, so a lot of expansion.